Sober Sundays with Mike Mechow. We're at Floor Media in Rockville Center. Love this spot. Thank you, Jay, for having us. Like all my guests, they are special. This guy that we brought in here, picked him up off the street. My good friend, John. John, thank you so much for coming.
Mike, thank you for having me, man. Thank you.
So I started off a little bit with your friend Brendan last week about asking him why he wanted to come on, and he kind of jumped right in. I thought that was like a good starting point. So I asked you, and all my experience is whenever I have asked you to do something, or if you're willing to do something, you have not hesitated and said yes, and this is no different. So thank you for that. So what do you want to tell us?
I mean, like just sitting here and like hearing you say that, you know, like for me, like that stuff touches my heart, you know, it really does, you know, and like I want to be here probably just the same reason that Brendan wanted to be here. I think that there's not enough awareness about the whole, you know, the reason that we're doing this. You know, it's Sober Sundays. Obviously, we're going to talk about sobriety, you know, and I feel like there should be more awareness brought to the realization, right? Like that addiction is a problem, you know.
You identify this as a family disease?
100%. There's no question about it.
You want to tell us?
I mean, in my own experience and from, you know, the families that I've seen, you know, it touches everybody. You know, if a household has one person in the house that's drinking and using, it's not just that person that's affected. You know, it's everybody that lives in that house.
And that brings me to this.
Okay.
Tell us about your household.
Oh, God. I mean, listen, you know, my parents, they did the best they could, you know, with what they had, 100%. You know, my parents were both, you know, good people. When I started drinking and doing drugs, it definitely caused a lot of havoc. You know, my mom was always crying. My dad was always like, listen, he's like, you know, my dad always told me, he goes, every time you go out and get arrested, he's like, I got to hear about this. You know, he's like, please. He's like, you know, you're making my life hell, you know? And I saw the stress and the toll that it took on my family, you know? And the crazy thing about it, you know, is I would watch this and I would tell them, like, I'm not affecting you. You know, why are you bothering me? You know, this doesn't affect you. This has no impact on your life. You know, that's how blind I was to it, you know?
I was going to say, so you thought.
So I thought.
So
yeah.
It's been rumored that your mother is some type of black belt in, like, Al-Anon and...
Oh, my God. My mom's been thrown out of Big Book studies. Yeah, it's true. So I remember, right, I sat down with my mom to go make amends. And very special moment. You know, I was surprised I was even willing to do this, you know, but I remember sitting down with her and I made this amends, and she was like intrigued, to say the least. Like, where did this come from? Who is this guy? You know, she was like, this is a different person, you know? And so she started thinking, like, what's going on in these rooms? Because something special is happening, you know? And I remember going to my house, to my mother's house. You know, I'd go out every weekend when I lived in the sober house. I would drive out to Rockland County. And the one night I walked in the house, and she was laying in bed, and she had the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous open, you know, and she's reading this book, you know, and I'm like, why are you reading this?
She was trying to catch what you caught?
Yeah, exactly, you know, and so she started to, you know, obviously she was full of fear and stress and anger, and she saw that stuff, you know, something was working in me, you know, so she actually started to, like, you know, try to practice this stuff, you know, and you know, my mom prays every morning now. You know, she prays every morning. She prays every night. She was always praying, but she sees how I believe, you know, and she, you know, she tries to chase that, you know.
So you getting sober, first time it was presented to you, you got sober? Is that how it went?
No, definitely not. You know, failed attempts, plenty of failed attempts at sobriety, you know.
Was that because you didn't want it?
No, it wasn't because I didn't want it.
So what happened?
Well, listen, I didn't have the power to get sober just because I wanted to get sober, you know? It wasn't like I could just wake up in the morning and be like, man, life sucks like this, because it did, right? Life sucked. You know, it wasn't enjoyable. I wasn't having fun anymore, you know? So that stuff was gone. So I wanted to be sober, but God's honest truth, I didn't have the power to be sober.
How many, I just want to know, how many rehabs, detoxes, treatment places do you think you went through?
I mean, as far just inpatient rehabs alone, there was 5 of them, in a short, period of time. Every single time in between each rehab, obviously the time of me being out on the street and thinking I was going to stay sober, like those times got shorter and shorter and shorter, and the pain got worse every time,
So progressive disease, you're in, maybe the worst case, if things are getting worse, you're in the worst place as ever, and then all of a sudden you get sober and stay sober. How does a guy like John, how does that happen? Why does that happen? Why? What brought you into your last rehab? The job, family, pain.
So I'll tell you this. I remember, right? Dude, I had lost everything. I lost it all. I was sleeping on this guy's couch. I remember I was walking to the bus stop to try to make it to work, in snowstorms, I remember getting fired. I would only go to work to show up and be like, how come I didn't get paid? That's no bullshit. I would go to work and I would be mad that I didn't get paid, and they're like, dude, you don't even show up to work. What are we going to pay you for? But this was and I'm mad that I didn't get paid, great job, great people, that great coworkers, and, I got fired from the job. My mom had changed the locks on the house, This guy, he's a private investigator. He lives in the bottom of my mother's house, ex-cop. And I remember she told me, she's like, I told Jim, if he sees you, to just throw you, get rid of you right away, like call the cops. And, the locks were changed. Dude, I had nothing, and alcoholism brought me to the point where I remember I was walking every day and I was praying to God. I was like, please just let me, not live anymore. And I was putting drugs into my body and I was praying and I was like, please just let this be the last time I have to do this. That's the truth of the matter. That was where it took me, and I remember calling the EAP for my union and I was begging. And he was like, I'll send you to detox. And I was like, listen, you don't understand. Like, I'm going to die. I need detox. I need rehab, and I need to stay there as long as possible, and,
do you feel like the EAP did everything that he could do to get you the help that you needed?
100%. Once I made that phone call, like, it was like instant. Like, these people were now calling me, like, we're going to get you a plane ticket. We're going to get you arrangements to get to the airport. Like, we're going to get you help. All I had to do was pick up the phone and ask, and the help was there, like instantly, All
right. So you ended up, how many days was the rehab?
I was there. Detox was 7 to 10. I remember rehab was 58 days, I believe. And I remember
you stayed for extra credit.
I stayed for extra credit. Well, they came to me, right, because I was safe in rehab, and I remember they came to me and they were like, "You're leaving," and I, my hand to God, I was like, "You better call the fucking cops, right? Because I'm not leaving, because I was safe. I didn't want to leave, because I was afraid of myself, I was like, John gets John high, So 58 days, they convinced me to leave,
So then you followed through, outpatient, sober house.
Yeah.
What was that like?
One of the best experiences of my life, hands down. Sober house, right? All I had to worry about was staying sober. What
a concept, right?
Right. That was the only thing I had to worry about, man. It was awesome. No, very minimal responsibilities. I mean, get out of bed on time, make your bed, be home by curfew, be at outpatient, yeah. But, so the sober house was great. And, for the first time, I kind of felt like I was living on my own, which I was,
Mm-hmm.
I had a little bit of independence and a little bit of freedom. And, And but I used that freedom wisely. You know, I was going to AA, I was going to outpatient. Outpatient for me, I loved it. You know, that was another place they had to ask me to leave. You know, they had to finally ask me to leave. The director was like, "Do you have a job? You know, like, what are you doing here?" You know, dude, I was like, "Yo, I'm gonna help people." You know, there was a day I dragged a kid out of the waiting room. You know, and I was like, "You're going to detox." You know, and
is that guy sober?
I have no idea, but you know what? I'm sober.
That's right.
You know.
So what was it like getting sober for you in the rooms and through the outpatient and meeting new people and support and sponsorship?
I think, like for me, the whole thing has been an incredible process, you know, and there's been ups and downs, you know. There was days, God's honest truth, like sitting in Alcoholics Anonymous, I'm like, all right, yeah, like I think I'm going to kill myself today. You know, like I'm not happy with the way things are going. I'm not comfortable in my own skin. You know, like I don't think there's a way out here, you know? And I remember driving home from meetings and being like, you know, like maybe I have no reason to be here, you know, like on this planet living, you know? And the problem is that like I was listening to myself, you know, and not asking for help. And it was in those times when I wasn't asking for help that I was suffering, you know?
What, isn't there a story with you driving?
Yeah.
With the book in the car?
100%. You want me to tell the story?
Of course I do.
Okay, I'll tell the story. So I was at St. Luke's on a Saturday night, you know, St. Luke's Saturday night. And I was like, that's it. You know, like I'm going to kill myself after this meeting, you know. And that was untreated alcoholism. That was where it took me to. And I remember this guy. He came and approached me. Tommy Case, shout out to him if he sees this. I don't know. Right. But, you know, when he was doing it, he was really doing it. And he made this approach to me and he said, like, I'm going to help you, you know. And he's like, I think you need a sponsor. He's like, why don't you come to my house tomorrow? We'll read this book, you know. And I remember he asked me, he said, do you have a job? I said, yes. He said, what do you do? I said, I build elevators. He said, you got to buy your own book, right? I said, okay, no problem. Right, where's the books? And the book cabinet was locked. Right, the book cabinet was locked, and I'm like, the hell with this book, the hell with this guy, right? I'm leaving, you know. And I walked out of that meeting, and I remember it was late, it was dark, and I remember seeing this guy crossing the street, and everybody was like happy to see this guy, you know. And I'm like, these people are, you know, like a bunch of losers, you know what I mean? And I remember Tommy came up to me. He's like, that's the guy with the keys to the cabinet. He just so happens to be stopping by, you know, and I ended up with that book, you know, and I had it in the passenger seat of my car and I was driving home and I still felt like I wanted to kill myself, you know, but I was thinking about, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't thinking about a newcomer because I was the newcomer, you know, but I was thinking about my mother, you know, and I was looking at that book in the passenger seat of my car and I said, I'm going to make a decision, right? I'm going to go through with this book and just see what it has to offer me. You know, and if it doesn't work, then I'll kill myself, you know. And
how long ago was that?
It's about 5 years now. Yeah, 5 years ago.
So no regrets going through this book.
No regrets, man. The book works. All the instructions are in the book. You know.
How is it being a union worker, being sober? What's that like?
I love it, man. You know, I'm very fortunate, right? Like I have this an incredible career, and I'll be honest, like I have some incredible coworkers, and like listen, what they do in their free time, you know, they all know that I'm sober, you know, every single one of them. You know, they all know, like John Anderson, he's sober, and like if somebody needs help, you can call that kid and he'll help you, you know. So I haven't had any problem with that, you know, like from day one in sobriety. You know, like I remember being put on job sites where guys they shouldn't have been working that day, you know. And I always told them, like, listen, I'm sober and I pray in the morning and I don't touch tools until I pray. Like this is my routine. You know, like these are the things that keep me sober, you know, and And I've told guys, like, listen, if I stop praying and I stop staying sober, like, you're going to know because all your tools are going to be gone. All the material's going to be gone, you know? But yeah, man, I love what I do, you know? And I wouldn't change it for the world.
Do you mind just mentioning or talking about somebody that you did work that unfortunately didn't make it?
I'll talk about him. Where should we go with this?
Wherever you want to go.
So Tootie, right? Steve Amato, you know.
You were close with him.
No, he was my best friend. He was my best friend, you know. I remember, so me and Tootie were on this journey together, and I was moving out of the Seafield Sober House, another place they asked me to leave, right? It was like, you gotta get out of the sober. First it was get out of rehab, get out of the sober house, get out of our outpatient, you know, like you're doing your thing in AA, like go on with your life. So they asked me to get out of the sober house, you know, and I found this apartment, and I wanted to move in with somebody, you know, and I remember I called up Tootie. He was living in a sober house in Hempstead, you know. And so we're getting a place, you know. And we moved out. We both moved out of sober houses that night in black garbage bags, you know. And we were moving into the sober house, into the apartment now. And I said, Tootie, you know, I don't think this is normal, you know, moving into a place with black garbage bags. And he looked at me and he goes, I've been doing it for 36 years. I don't see anything wrong with it, you know. And but me and him did everything together. You know, we go to the grocery store. We would commute to and from work. We even worked together for a while till they, you know, that company, they laid us all off, you know. I don't know, man. I remember like one night I was leaving the house to go to a meeting, and he was on the couch, and and I was like, Tootie, you coming with me? You know, because we always went together. And he's like, no, I'm staying home, you know. And he was like he was in the work, and at that time, like he was, I guess we would say like eligible to sponsor other men. And I was like, dude, there's a newcomer at that meeting that needs your help, you know. And he's like, I don't feel like going, you know. And I remember leaving the house, and I was just so pissed off, you know, because I was going to that meeting, and I was gonna go find a guy to help, you know. And it was like, he had a battle, you know, and he was constantly fighting himself, you know. Dude, that was tough.
So why do you get to stay sober and other people don't? Do you think it's, you know, I'm not trying to answer it for you, but do you think it's because you give so much in giving back and trying to help other people that maybe there's a reason why you're spared and other people weren't?
I do believe that, you know.
Does that just sound good, or is, no, I don't know.
So it sounds great, right? Sounds great. But I think about it, right? Like, to be honest with you, like I don't even have like on my own power, I don't have the willingness to help somebody, you know. Just because I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I want to do this, you know. I think it's because like I take action on a daily basis to really seek God, you know, not knowing who he is or what he is. I could care less about that, you know, like my conception, none of that stuff. I know there's something real, you know, and I've spent the last 5 years of my life seeking that thing, and it's been taking care of me forever, you know, ever since I started to seek, you know, and I knew like that was the foundation of my sobriety. So no matter what happened, I was always seeking God, you know, and I feel like because of that, I'm able to sit here today with you in this room, you know, and I'm still sober, you know, and I feel like, I don't know, like I received this willingness to seek this thing, you know, and I don't know why some people get that willingness and other people don't. I don't know, you know, but I'll say this, Mike, like just sitting here doing this now, like I feel fortunate, you know, I feel lucky, you know, it's like a feeling of gratitude. It's like almost like it could bring a tear to my eyes, you know, of like just being able to say like I'm here and I'm sitting in this room and I'm sober right now.
and now you know what it tastes like and feel like. It's kind of hard to not say yes.
Right.
So before we get to some of the real good stuff that you got going on, let's talk about. Can we talk about relationships in the rooms for John?
We can do that.
What's that like? Ups, downs, all arounds.
So, listen, that's been tough, you know. I say this like some people have had good experiences with relationships in Alcoholics Anonymous. Some people have had, you know, bad experiences. I've been fortunate, you know. I haven't had many relationships in the rooms, right? Like, for me, I think like if you're gonna do it, you know, like just be careful and take your time doing it, you know. Especially if it's like early sobriety, you know, because it's like it'll create like an emotional roller coaster, you know.
Do you feel that because you work so hard at the program that you're working and spiritually connected, that no matter what happens, whether it's relationships, jobs, whatever, that John's going to be okay, John's going to be taken care of?
100%, Mike. And like, so that's been my experience. And that's why I say, like, be careful if you're new at this, you know, because like for me, like I remember going through a breakup, you know, and I was sober. I was working a program. I had plenty of people that I was sponsoring. Like I was in AA, you know, and, you know, because of the fact that my relationship was in AA, you know, it was a much greater like an earthquake to my foundation.
Yeah.
You know, and it caused a lot of it was a lot of emotion. Whereas like if I had been in a relationship with a girl that wasn't in AA, you know, none of that other stuff would, you know, like it definitely it makes things harder.
So
you
pros
know?
And cons.
Definitely pros and cons to that.
So, recently,
Yeah.
you tell me how long it's been, but you've been on a new journey in helping people. You want to tell us a little bit what you've been diving into?
I can, yes. So this is really exciting, you know. I ended up, it was always in the back of my head, Mike. I want to open a sober house. Like I always wanted to do it, you know. For the simple fact that I knew in my heart that it could be done better, you know, where it was like more care given to the person and more like direction given to them, right? Like these are the things, like if you do these things, it will save your life, you know? And whatever, I'd been saving my money and a lot of fear, you know?
Sure.
And this is what I said to myself. I said, God took me this far. He's not going to drop me now, right? Like you just said, like no matter what happens, I'll be taken care of. And I said, I'm going to try this. And if it fails, I'll just start from the ground up again. Like what? I haven't thrown my life out before, you know, like I could start over. And so I did it, you know, and we opened this thing up. It's been about 7 months now. And it's been absolutely incredible. Incredible things are happening in that
Better
house.
than you could have anticipated?
Yeah, without a doubt, you know.
Now you get, because it's your house and it's not connected to a facility or a treatment place, you can kind of come up with the rules and foundation that you want, right?
Yeah.
You and your partner.
Me and my partner. And so it was a lot of nights, right? Up at night, after work, typing on this computer, you know, what are the rules of this house going to be? What's going to be the foundation of this house? You know, what are the ideas that we want to have drive this thing, you know? And we typed it all up from scratch, you know? And I printed it out and looked at it and I was like, what? Like, this is something to be pretty proud of, you know? We had help making it like actually look like professional and all, but I got all my thoughts down, you know, and my partner's thoughts down. And yeah.
So two guys that met. Where did you meet Tubbs? In the rooms?
Tubbs? Yeah, I met him. I think I met him at Garden City. You know, it was either Garden City or Young by the Beach.
And then you moved in together.
Yes.
And now you guys are opening a sober house. Have opened a sober house.
We have.
Together.
Yeah.
7 months is how many beds? Is it full
The house is full. The house is full. We have a waiting list. Dude, I'm getting phone calls all the time. You know, treatment centers are calling me. Past counselors are calling. Like, I get phone calls all the time. Like, do you have a bed? Do you have a bed? And I'm like, listen, you know, people at meetings sometimes ask. It's crazy. You know, I don't know what it is. I feel like, I don't know, but people are seeking help. You know, people are seeking help. People want help. And I think they know that like that house to me is sacred. It's extremely special. And they know if they're in that house, like, they're going to get the right treatment, you know?
Which is kind of like my question here is, no disrespect to shelters or any crisis centers or anything like that, but this is a sober house, meaning that, like, there are certain things you have to do to be sober and be involved if you're going to live there.
100%. So that was like, that was the foundation, right? So let's say a treatment center calls me and they say they have a guy and he wants a bed. Mm-hmm. I have a bed available. I make it clear to the person when I do a phone screening with them. You know, like, I have a conversation with them and I tell them, like, you know, there's many sober houses in Nassau County.
There are.
If you want to live in this sober house, you have to go to AA, right? You have to go to AA. You have to actively work the 12 steps with your sponsor. You know, you have to have a commitment and a home group, and these things are not up for discussion. You know, and I've had guys who say to me, like, you know, I don't want to do that, and I'm like, that's you know, no sweat off my back. Like, I wish you the best, you know, but I can't give you a bed, mm-hmm. you know, because there's a guy who wants that bed who's willing to go to AA, you know, so that's definitely part of the rules of the house, you know.
So what's it been like?
Oh my God, it's been a roller coaster, dude. It's been a roller coaster, right? So because of the fact that I wasn't willing to bend, right, and I'm still not. Mm-hmm. I wasn't willing to bend, and I remember there was 1 week, right? Like, this is in the infancy of the house, which it still is a baby, you know. But like early days, you know, I signed my life away for this house, you know, and I remember it was like 1 week where it was like 3/4 of the house, you know, like, failed a drug test, got high, and we had to kick them all out, you know? And like, that's definitely an emotional roller coaster, you know? So there's been times where there's a lot of fear, and like, I'm like, are we doing something wrong? You know, like, what's going on here? And like, where are all these guys going to go? You know? But on the flip side, there's been some incredible nights there. We have a board in the house. Everybody's name, who their sponsor is, and what step they're on, you know? And I've had days where I'm able to just take a step back and look at that board, and I see, like, so many of these guys are, like, you know, they're making amends. They're reading with other guys. They're reading with guys in the house who just got there, you know? And I hear the stories. I hear, you know, every Sunday we have a house meeting where all we talk about is, like, what did you do with your sponsor this week? You know, like, what are you doing in your step work, you know? And I've had nights where I sit there and I'm just like, this is incredible, you know? And some people tell me it's too much or the meeting's too long. And I'm like it's Sunday night. I got to be up at 5 a.m. I tell them all the same thing. I will sit here till 1 o'clock in the morning, you know, to listen to what these guys have to say. I don't care what time, you know, like, it's not too much. It's not too long. Like, this is the most important thing going on in my life. And it's the most important thing going on in their lives. You know, you can't get me out of that chair. You know, I'm not moving, you know?
So how do you manage, or how is this even possible for you to work a full-time job in a union?
Yeah.
Manage a sober house, still have time to reach out and help others, go to your program, go to your meetings. How does one have time for this? Do you have time for fun? What is this stuff fun?
This stuff's fun. This stuff is a lot of fun. Listen, I don't know how I do all this, Mike. I'll be honest with you, I have no idea, you know? But I will say that, like, I enjoy this stuff, you know? It's definitely a lot, you know? But anytime I'm like, oh, I'm tired, or, you know, I'm stressed out, or, like, I look at this stuff and I'm like, dude, 5-6 years ago, I would have wished to have these problems. No? You know? So, but I love all this stuff. Like, going to work is great, and everybody has to work, right? It's part of the deal,
You're a foreman now at work?
I'm a shop steward.
Oh, very nice.
I'm a shop steward, and I just got, well, fingers crossed, I think I'm gonna have a seat on the executive board. Yeah.
Watch out.
Yeah. So, but like doing all that stuff is great, It's enjoyable, but nothing compares to like walking in the door of that sober house and like seeing those guys stay sober another day. For me, like that's the most rewarding thing I've ever done.
Could you ever imagine this 5 years ago?
No.
New Year's Eve.
No. Definitely not. Definitely not, Mike.
So where does John, like what else is John going to do? Like what else can John do?
Well,
are you content? Are you satisfied?
With my life today?
Well, yeah, and what you're doing.
Yeah.
Where your time's being spent, your energy used.
100%. 100%. I love where I put my time. I love where I put my energy.
You still dedicate that one-on-one time with guys that you sponsor?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We still sit down, there's no question about it. Like I still sit down with guys. I read the book. We turn the pages. And, I get a phone call with the phone's ringing. I talk to guys. And I'll always do that, Mike. I could never replace, right, like the service at the sober house. That is not, to me, like talking to those guys, that's not considered like Alcoholics Anonymous, which it is, but I can't say to myself, okay, that's me doing what I need to do to stay sober.
Do you have any, since you've gotten sober, any regrets or mistakes that you wish you could take back? I'm not talking about like agreeing to take me to go speak at a meeting and we end up driving to Virginia.
No, I wouldn't take that back. I wouldn't take, but I think that was whatever. We're both sober, that was crazy. 8-hour drive. I don't know, Mike, so in the moment, right? Sometimes it's like you think like, this is the worst thing ever, or maybe I did something wrong, But like I believe, right? Like, and this is just me. So there's going to be people who watch this. They're going to be like, this guy's crazy, and that's okay because I've been getting that for years, But I believe that everything happens for a reason, I just look at like what's gone on in my life in the past year, and I'm like, everything that happened for a reason. So even if I think it was a mistake or it was wrong, right? God's up there. He's pulling the strings and he's like, this is the direction that you're going to go, whether you like it or not, And
what's the relationship with your mother and your family like now?
So really for me,
she could sleep at night now.
Yeah. Yeah. She sleeps at night. She knows her son's safe. She's not worried about me anymore. I get more worried about her, she's got a lot of time on her hands, but the moral of the story is like, we have a good relationship today, and she's able to come to me for advice sometimes, if she's in a situation, like she'll call me and be like, what should I do? Or ask me for help, and I'm able to help her, and like, dude, I could have never dreamt that up, but, and my uncle, like if you asked my uncle, he would have said like, that kid, he's a lost cause. Me and him have a relationship like this today, like we're close, when this guy goes on vacation, he doesn't ask me, he tells me, you have to watch my house, and, dude, 5 years ago, you couldn't trust me to watch your house, but he does,
Where's the house?
House in Jersey by the shore.
The pool,
hot tub. Yeah. Everything. Great meetings out there too.
I'll have to send Brendan away.
Yeah.
So where do you see? No.
Okay.
What would you like to see changed in whether it's self-help meetings, the treatment, the union, the sober house? That's a lot of different categories there. But you've been so involved in all of them. Is it perfect?
No, it's not. Like treatment, I feel like it could be more personal, right? Like, I feel like there are certain flaws, right? But at the end of the day, I don't think it's like a treatment center is a treatment center. It's about getting good people. Mm-hmm. You know, when you have good people there that care, and like once that guy walks through the door and once that girl walks through the door and they're like, we're going to help this person, you know, I feel like that's what makes an impact in treatment. You know, obviously there's room for improvement in everything, you know, but it's like one person can only do so much. Me, you, anyone, it doesn't matter, you know, but I believe like if I try to be the change that I want to see in the world, you know, that like that's what I really want to do, you know, is like just try to be a little bit better every day. Pray to be a little better every day, you know? Yeah.
Is there anybody, before we close up, is there anybody that you wouldn't help or anybody that maybe you couldn't help in the past?
Which one? Wouldn't or couldn't?
Either, well, both.
There's no one that I wouldn't help. There's nobody that I wouldn't. If they called me and they're like, I will help them.
Even like an enemy from the past?
100%. I'm on the way. I'll help you.
Is there anybody that you can't help?
Somebody that doesn't want it. You know?
That was good, John.
That was good, right?
Yeah. So, and you're free to help people. You make time.
Yeah.
For the people that are out there struggling or just need you.
100%. If you need my help, I'll help you.
All right. So if anybody is looking for help, you could definitely contact my boy John. You can contact me, and you can check the website, SoberSundayPodcast.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
All right.